Hello there. This is a long podcast you're going to get this time, and I hope you can bear with it. It's this saga of the Syrian uprising from the perspective of a Christian officer in Division 4 of the Syrian Armed Forces, government Syrian Armed Forces. He's an old friend of mine, and he's agreed to share, that I can share what he told me as this thing unfolded, on the basis that I withhold his name. So here we go, and just be tolerant. I'll do my best. So this is Monday night, my first conversation with him, this phone conversation by WhatsApp. He uses a VPN to connect WhatsApp in Syria. Monday night, 2nd of December. If Hama falls, everything collapses. Automatically, Homs is gone, and then the country is cut in two. To go from Damascus to Latakia, you'll have to go through Lebanon. Aleppo, how did Aleppo fall? Aleppo cannot fall, with 2 divisions there, stationed there. Betrayal played a major role. An entire division, 10,000 soldiers, vanished without trace. Within the first 24 hours, our military communication system was completely jammed, led to the rapid loss of territory. Only the Russians managed to re-establish central command. Nobody understands what's going on. The only worry is how to retake Aleppo without a bloodbath. A lot depends on Erdogan now, and he's no longer rational. He's getting Alzheimer's. He's not really the decision maker in Turkey any longer. We expect trouble in Deraa tomorrow. Deraa's in the south. There's been fierce fighting in the north, in Deir ez-Zor, against government forces by the Kurds. But in northern Aleppo, the Kurds have been flirting with the government forces. Our forces went south, leaving the Shiite city of Zahra exposed to its fate, and the Kurds are protecting the minorities in Aleppo. Okay, now I'm going to switch to, that was the 2nd of December. Now we're going to switch to the 3rd of December, Tuesday the 3rd of December evening. The Russians liberated 600 officers who were encircled by the insurgents up by Aleppo. The Turks, they did a deal with the Turks to get the insurgents to release the 600 officers. The minute they arrived in Homs, we started bombing Idlib again, that's where the insurgents came out of when they were training. Then he switched focus. He asked a question from left field. Will Tulsi Gabbard be accepted by the Senate as head of National Security Service in the United States of America? We might see that as positive. Well, what he means is Tulsi Gabbard has visited Syria in 2017. And Syrians feel they understand, Tulsi Gabbard understands the situation better. But any benefit from that will have to happen after January the 20th, when Trump is installed. Then he goes back to the insurgency. We were expecting it to come from Deraa. That state is almost, in Deraa, the state is almost absent from all the villages and small towns in the south. All our intel said something would happen there. We, of course, were aware of the training in Idlib, going on in Idlib in the north, which is why we hit them there. The professionalism and the logistics of these fighters is unprecedented. They're hired to Sham. Our problems were, one, the jamming of our radio communications. 2, the treason by some senior officers. And 3, the lack of willingness of our troops to fight. Which you can understand. Al-Nusra, which is what he calls Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, are paid $1,500 a month. Our troops are paid $50 a month. So you can only imagine the spirit of our soldiers. Our soldiers wear sneakers, Adidas and Nike. Their soldiers wear full army uniform. Their soldiers look like regular forces. We look like the militia. Hama seems to be standing. The government understand that losing Hama will be a game changer. With continuous air support, we have a chance. But how can we ever retake Aleppo? A bloodbath or a deal? Diplomatic efforts are needed from neighboring countries to tell Turkey to recall their dogs. Iraqi Hezbollah, he means the popular mobilization forces in Iraq. Iraqi Hezbollah told us they would come over and support us, but they were told by Israel that they would be taken out if they tried to cross the desert by Israel. Iraq wanted to cut the head of the snake, his words, before, the same thing happened to them. Israel will get Al-Qaeda on its borders, and they seem okay with that. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham are saying they welcome an Israel embassy the day they take Damascus. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham has hundreds of Uyghurs, Tajiks, and Turks fighting on their side. You can see their faces. And people from Pakistan and so on. Basically, HTS, he's suggesting HTS are well-paid militia from many countries. Then he's switched tack. He said Abu Dhabi and Riyadh are besties again, best friends again. And he regards that as encouraging. He's talking about the visit by Mohammed bin Salman to the United Arab Emirates, and though the UAE and Saudi Arabia have always been good friends at a personal and local level in the GCC, they haven't been so much in international affairs where they have competed one with the other, for instance, in Sudan. So he's regarding it as a good sign for Syria that Abu Dhabi and Riyadh are besties. Again, my wife hates the word besties, but that's what he said. Everything is interlinked. Trump will have to help Syria. We don't even have night vision cameras, The rebels do. Rebels have night vision. We don't have night vision. The only advantage we have is our air support. We can't send tanks because our tanks are needed to hold the ground between Damascus and indeed Hama. The one plus now is that our own soldiers are beginning to show some signs of fear. They are beginning to fight for the survival of the minorities. A lot of the soldiers are drawn from the minorities. Today, the president increased the armed forces' salaries by 25%. Doesn't help much. The reason the Kurds in the east near Deir ez-Zor are fighting us is because the U.S. is saying we are pro-Iranian, and the militia threatens us, and therefore they should fight us at this moment. There's a place called Sabakariat, 7 villages between up in the north. The Kurds have taken it, then we've retaken it, then the Kurds have taken it, then we've retaken it. What does encourage us is that a large number of Arab tribal leaders have joined forces with us. They don't like the insurgents. And they're supporting the Syrian army up in the north. Okay, next discussion is on the evening of Wednesday, December 4th. Same guy, same phone call again. Talking about Hama having fallen. The city has fallen, but not the government. Hezbollah managed to liberate the airport and 2 groups of encircled officers. We stopped them at Al Rassan, at the bridge there. Yeah, we stopped them at the bridge between Hama and Homs on the road. Bridge was targeted by the Russian airstrikes to slow the advance of Al-Qaeda. It's 40 kilometers from Homs on the famous M5 motorway from Jordan to Turkey. It's one of the biggest bridges in Syria. It was demolished to slow the advance. Tomorrow there'll be a meeting of Iraq and Iran and Syria, the foreign ministers he means, in Baghdad. Most Iraqi factions, other than Muqtada Sadr, are willing to come to our aid. Israel says if Iran takes over in Syria, or if Nusra reaches much further and takes over in Syria, they will take 10 kilometers of the Golan as a buffer zone. So they will invade 10 kilometers of the Golan. The Russians are being sly in their interventions. They could be doing much more. The Russians holding back their hand in airstrikes now. Their base has only 6 or 7 fighter jets and 10 helicopters. With 5 or 6 jets, only a certain number of airstrikes you can do, but yesterday they had to strike positions using artillery on the ships offshore. Yeah, yesterday there was an advance by Syrian Turkmen on Latakia, but we managed to beat them back. Tomorrow will be rich in events. There are 1,000 Radwan Hezbollah special forces in Syria. They have done a fantastic job. Abu Dhabi and Riyadh are worried. If we can pay well our soldiers and if we have political support, we might do better. Today there was 7 minutes of jamming in Hama. I asked him, what's that mean? 7 minutes of jamming is nothing. He said, no, in the middle of a battle, 7 minutes of jamming when you can't reach your command is frightening. In Aleppo, they brought petrol with them and electricity 24/7. This is the insurgents when they took Aleppo. They brought hundreds of generators from Turkey, trying to make Aleppo like the showroom for Syria. But Aleppo will never sympathize with the insurgents, but Hama is something else. The people will sympathize with the insurgents if the insurgents take Hama. The Alawites in the villages around Hama are fleeing. The Ismaili villages, there are a lot of Ismaili villages around Hama, Shiite, you see, are also being evacuated. 2 Hayat Tahrir Sham Turkish drones were flying over Damascus today. We shot them down with our own guns. Everybody shot at them. They were over Division 4, over the presidential residential areas and so on. We all shot at them and brought them down. Okay. Now, next thing. Yeah. Next is Thursday night. The 5th of December. Okay? Next bit from this guy. Thursday night, the 5th of December. not beginning to be the outskirts of Damascus. The trouble. Not the trouble is not from the people who come from up north. It's the people who live there. The problem we have is this unexplained withdrawal. We had the upper hand in Homs. They left 70 fully operational tanks behind. 70 fully operational tanks when we were ordered to withdraw from Homs. Those ordered to go are knocking their heads against the wall in frustration. Division 4 is not going to withdraw. It's all funny because the outcome of the Baghdad and Doha meetings was not bad. Nobody knows if the orders being issued to the troops are coming from the president. Okay. We're getting there now. I'm sorry it's taking so long. My next conversation, we skip a bit of time, and my next conversation was on Sunday, 8th of December, evening again. And now, now Damascus has been taken. Israel destroyed half of Damascus today. Well, he's exaggerating, but he means Meza, a military air fort, was bombed into oblivion. All the ammunition dumps for Division 4, the air defense headquarters, the security services headquarters, all taken out, even in the middle of the city. Bombing, bombing, bombing. Israel wants chaos. Israel took practically all the Golan Heights today. Invaded all the Golan Heights. That was Sunday, the 8th of December. Okay. We're getting closer now. Final bit. This is a shocker. Monday, the 9th of December. We got betrayed by President Bashar al Assad himself. I know this for a fact. This is the words of senior commander in Division 4, Christian, officer. We got betrayed by Bashar al Assad himself. The orders to withdraw from Homs were given just as he was about to board his flight for Damascus. The orders to withdraw from Homs were given by Bashar al Assad when he was in the Russian airbase about to board his flight for Moscow. Sorry, I'll get this right. Today they've been stopping cars in the Alawite regions and spitting on the women if they're not wearing a veil, kind of a headscarf. He means not a full face veil, but if they're not wearing a headscarf that covers their hair completely. Yeah. They're also, if somebody presents a ID in which they identify as a military officer or are identified in some way as a military member, soldier, they spit at them. And of course, you have to not react or you'll be shot. But he knows the Makloufs, this officer. The Makloufs are a senior business family that are close to Bashar al Assad, regarded by many as, well, I don't know. he asked me, do I know Ahab Makhlouf? Well, I know of the Makhloufs, of course. I haven't met them. Ahab Makhlouf, the brother of Ramsey Makhlouf, and Ramsey Makhlouf, and a senior, a Christian, one of our community, were playing cards in Makhlouf's house. And the maid said, I must go, there's trouble. I must go, there's trouble in Damascus. He said, what trouble? Makhlouf said, no, she said, I must go, there's real trouble, I have to go home. The maid left. Ramsey Makhlouf phoned around and he realized there was real trouble in Damascus. He got hold of a couple of cars. He got hold of the Christian man, got hold of his mother, and Ramsey and Ahab got hold of their mother, put them in the cars. Anyway, and some other family members, and they drove for the border. Car was pulled over just short of the border, and some people got away. It was pulled over. The people who pulled it over realized they were Makhlouf. Ahab, this gentle lad, was shot in the head, killed outright. Ayad was wounded. The mother was shot and killed. And the Christian, someone who was detained, Christian friend was shot and wounded. Christian's mother was shot and killed. There are summary executions of people who are seen as close to the government. And there are dead bodies in the Alawite areas by the roadside from summary executions. We talked a bit about Bashar al Assad going to Damascus. He said to me, his wife lives in Russia all the time, since she was there being treated for cancer. She had cancer. His son is at Moscow University, or just graduated from Moscow University. His son this is the words, not my words, it's the words of the Christian officer. His son is a genius, absolute genius. He graduated young from Moscow University. He speaks Russian fluently, like a Russian. So what else did he say? The port of Latakia, the Latakia port, was bombed by Israel today. Erased, written off the map, doesn't exist anymore. But the Russian base remains, the air base, untouched. The Russian air base is absolutely fine. Okay, another little footnote from this Christian Army officer. In the villages of Kardaha. Now, Kardaha is the region of Latakia where Bashar al Assad comes from and his father comes from, Hafiz al Assad. It's the homeland of the Al Assad tribe, right? In the villages of Kardaha, the Kardahis looted the Al Assad family homes. There's been a lot of looting, but why would they loot in the home village of? Why would the local people loot Bashar al Assad's home and so on? They did so because they felt betrayed by their leader. They felt betrayed. So that's the last thing he said to me. We have a meeting on Syria now, and I will talk to you again later this week once I've assimilated what they say. But all I've just told you was the words, not my words, the words of a senior Christian officer, commander in one of the commanders in Division 4, the Syrian Armed Forces. And that's what he said to me. And now I'm telling you, with his permission. God bless you in these troubled and difficult times. And God be with you all. Thank you.